yes, y'all. Oh, yes. Yes, y'all. That's right. It's that kids and wives and 9 to 5s, but we are married to the games. I am sorry I sound so different. I know I sound like I'm outside on a balcony by a beach, and that's exactly right.
Yeah, you're not sorry. Yeah, you're not sorry one bit. You're not sorry one bit.
I am sorry that it sounds crappy. It's Gabe Patillo with Tim Router and Timothy Hall as always. We are talking life and games on today. I'm on vacation, Panama City Beach. It is awesome. And today's show is going to be a little different. We got an interview today, which was really cool, with a guy named Chris Stevens. And his background is music, and he did music for video games, so we're going to talk to him. Thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, we're going to keep it moving. Tim Router.
Yes, sir.
How was your week?
Man, screw that. You're going this time. You're going first because you're where we want to be right now. And I freaking hear seagulls in the background, and I'm just jealous. So
I know, they just won't leave you alone.
So no, they won't. Get out of here. Get off my balcony.
So, Mr. Patillo, please go ahead first. Tell us where you are and how was your weekend?
Oh man, it's been really good. Blessed to be here, Panama City. I got a buddy who we did a tour with named Eddie, and he's got a condo in Panama City, and he would not stop bugging me about using it. And he was like, man, I'm telling you, you and your wife need to get out to the condo. You and your wife need to get out to the condo. I'm telling you, it's just sitting there. You need to get out to the condo. And so
I wish I had that problem.
Yeah, right?
So one day I walked up to him. I kind of looked at the schedule and saw when we were going to be home for a while, and went to him and was like, hey, man, so I'm home this week. You know, it was kind of like this week was the only one that really worked. And he made some calls. He came back to me. He was like, that'll work, baby. And I was like, awesome. So we drove down. Here we are. And then, of course, the day we get here and we're like, yes, vacation. Freaking Boston hits.
Yeah.
And it was kind of shattered our first day a little bit. So, you know, we were just kind of very sad that first day. We've got a couple buddies that had family that was running in the marathon, and you know, it's just a terrible thing that happened, and I can't believe that something else like this is going on again. Yeah. It feels like. I was like, come on, America. You know what I'm saying? We got plenty of people that, you know, want to hurt us and want to do us harm. Let's not be harming ourselves. So, you know, that was sad, and our thoughts and prayers go out to all of our people in Boston. But I'm still vacationing, praying for those people, but taking care of my family, and we're going to go see some stuff today. Obviously, it's the baby's first trip in the car, and she did all right. I'm not gonna give her A+ or nothing like that.
No gold stars for her.
Yeah, no.
Okay, that must mean puking was involved.
Yeah, she didn't get car sick, did she?
No, she didn't get car sick or anything like that. But she definitely was like whiny. She was like, I don't want to be in the car. And I was like, shut up. We got 7 more hours.
Here's a 3DS. Have at it.
Exactly. So that's my week, man. We maxing and relaxing, and it's awesome. I finally got to see Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, yes.
I watched Wreck-It Ralph while we were out here 2 nights ago.
Did you love it?
Dude, I thought it was awesome.
Okay. Yeah, it's so good.
And Jenny loved it. So that's what makes a really good movie, when it can appeal to the gamers and the gamers past, and can still appeal to the people that don't know
Lauren wants to
about
see it. She
video
keeps
games.
saying, "Hey, it's on demand. Let's watch it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." We just have to find time to actually do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's great. I recommend seeing it for sure.
That's awesome. Well, Gabe, it's highly deserved that you go and relax after the grueling tour you had this first quarter of the year.
Exactly.
So I'm glad you and the fam are just chilling and relaxing. Even though
that's awesome.
Even though I still hate you for being there right now.
Chilling and relaxing outside by the beach.
That's right.
Exactly.
The seagulls.
It's awesome.
Seagulls.
But Amara hates the sand though.
That's amazing.
Which I thought was hilarious. We tried to put her down in it, and she's like, "What is this? No, princesses' feet don't touch things like this." Like, you're a princess now when you start talking.
Yeah, and I'm sure you bought like all the sand buckets and everything. You might as well just toss that in the garbage.
Of course,
forget it.
I mean, recycling bin automatically. You're like, oh, she's like, take me to the pool. Take me to the pool. I was like, okay.
I could totally see her sounding exactly like that too.
We took her to the pool. She was in the water like. We're like, yeah. I'm glad we drove 7.5 hours for a pool.
That's awesome.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Okay, Router.
All right. Now I'll go. So this past weekend we were up in New Jersey. My father-in-law, who had he had a business in Fort Lee. He and his brother owned a hardware store. In fact, his father owned it too. And they had the first week in March midweek in March they had sold the store. So the city of Fort Lee put together a surprise retirement party for them at one of their favorite places. And so Lauren's brother and sister-in-law and we went up. We all flew up together and surprised him for this party, and it was really great. It was a really cool time. There was like and it was kind of like a benefit. Like it was, you would pay to be into it, and then that money would go toward their retirement, and they could just kind of split it up. So, I mean, they're so known in Fort Lee because they're both. He and his brother are both firemen. They've been at that hardware store for 55 some odd years. Their father actually started the business in 1947, and it's been there ever since. So it was really cool. It was really heart touching. It was really cool to see a lot of people in the community come out and support them. And I mean, I felt like my father-in-law was like the mayor of Fort Lee. He knew practically everybody, and so it was good. So we went up there. We flew up on Friday, and then we came back. And while we were in the airport, we saw all the Boston information. And it's interesting because we were flying out of Newark, and Newark, as you know, was one of the airports where one of the flights from 9/11 went down. So Newark is always very on edge when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I overheard some people asking the gate agents, "Hey, are our flights still going out? Are we going to be grounded?" and that kind of stuff, because usually when something like that happens in the Northeast, it's instant shutdown. But everything seemed to keep going, kind of status quo. But I'm just sitting there, and when it comes to these kind of incidents, like I immediately went to Twitter and was like looking at all the different stories. And as gruesome as this is, and as horrible as this is, I saw just some really cool. There's like a nice little silver lining to some of this, where it was amazing to see just people helping people amidst a lot of just kind of chaos. And I was actually kind of like really encouraged and felt very patriotic to see how quickly people rallied around people. And I mean, I saw like some pretty graphic images. I mean, some people posted on Twitter, and I kind of looked past it because I just saw these people who were just in normal clothes. They weren't like ambulance corps or anything like that. This people in normal clothes dealing with these people that have these horrible wounds that just look awful, but they're just helping them and trying to get them to where they need to go. So it was great. And like I definitely ditto Gabe saying that our thoughts and prayers are with everybody. So that was our Monday coming back, and we were just, as soon as we landed, we went back to Twitter and was trying to get all the latest updates. But
yeah, and I was like, thank God it wasn't worse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you never want to take a loss of life like it's not serious, because that is somebody's, kid, or that's somebody's husband. I don't even know who ended up passing, but I was like, oh my gosh, with so many injured, I was like, thank God it wasn't way more people. It seems like it could have been way more people,
And it was kind of a blessing that it was at the Boston Marathon, because they already have a lot of medical staff there for people who may get dehydrated or that kind of stuff. So it kind of was a blessing that it happened in a place where like there's a medical team already there. So that, that was really, really great. But on a lighter note, didn't really get to play a whole lot on the PS3 because I'm still playing Sleeping Dogs. But holy cow, I know I'm late to the party, but I am obsessed with Candy Crush right now.
I'm the same
loving
way.
that game.
I gotta stop playing it and telling people I'm playing it. But
I can't
it's awesome.
stop playing it. That's the problem. Like when I take a lunch break at work, that's the first thing I'm doing.
I am not going to start then.
No, it's
don't start it.
Totally addictive, man. Holy cow! But so I played the heck out of some iOS games, and in fact, they had Injustice on there for free, the iPad version, and I actually played that on the plane, and it was actually really fun. I had a good time with it. I played that for like a good 45 minutes on the plane. So
they had it free on what? Just on iOS?
On iOS, yeah. It's just a different. It's a touch version of Injustice. But yeah, so those are the games I was playing. That's all I got for you. I'm kind of itching to get back to Sleeping Dogs because I really like it.
Do it, Paul.
Yep.
Paul, how was yours?
Well, played a lot of BioShock. I think I'm getting pretty. I don't want to say close to the end, but I think I'm getting. I think I'm over halfway.
This is still the original, right? Not Infinite.
Yeah, it's the original. It's a long game, but man, it still really holds up as a game. Like, I really recommend it if people haven't played it before. Like I said, you got to get over the controls a little bit because they're a little tight. But yeah, other than that, still enjoying it a lot. And then went back to Tomb Raider a little bit because I want to finish it. And I'm like right at the end of that game, so it'll be done soon. Yeah, I take a little longer to finish games, but it works.
Hey, we ain't judging.
That's all right.
Started writing some more music. Some of my songs, like, for some reason, they just aren't performing as well this month. I don't know if less people are buying or something. So I was like, I'll write some more stuff and then put it up there. So I wrote about I wrote 2 songs between last week and yesterday, I think it was, or Monday. Yeah, man, we heard about the bombing at work, and one of my coworkers, his family's from there, and I think he had family at the marathon, so he had to call and check up. And
my gosh,
yeah, it was kind of nuts.
Was he able to get through? Because I know self-service just got overloaded.
I don't know, but he was already kind of in a bad place that day because his brother had passed away.
Oh man!
Oh my!
And that wasn't related to the incident. That just he had happened to pass away that morning, so that was just crazy.
Oh my God!
I'm sorry to hear that,
double
man. That
doozy
sucks.
for him.
Yeah, that sucks.
Dang it! That's next level.
Yeah, I know. I felt real bad for him.
Of course.
Yeah, man. Other than that, I don't think I got a whole lot going on. We definitely got out a lot this week, and it felt, man, the weather was so nice in Nashville this weekend. So, we just got out and did some stuff and hung out. And I'm trying to think. We took the dogs walking. Oh my gosh, I have 2 of the funniest dogs. Hey, Router, have you met either of my dogs? Or
I've seen them. I've never met them though.
They have the funniest personalities.
The PS3 remote.
What's that?
You put that picture up of the one holding the PS3 remote.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's right. That was great.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean that one. She's my dachshund, and she barks at everything, everybody. Something like we'll be walking her along a trail, and she'll like barely see a leaf move, and she'll start barking.
That's awesome.
She's just hilarious.
Were they going crazy because they're like, freedom, it's beautiful out, let's go.
Oh, definitely. And our Jack Russell, he only walks like this when he's on a leash. Like, he'll do this like little prance hop thing that he does.
Yeah.
It's hysterical.
Like he's royalty?
Yeah, basically like he's singing I'm Sexy and I Know It. That's how he walks.
That's awesome.
It's just...
I can totally see that too.
I mean, those dogs are hysterical.
Shoot.
But
that is so funny.
Yeah, just had to get out and enjoy the weather, and I hope everybody's getting nice weather. I mean, we're lucky enough to live in, kind of the South, so it's
yes, sir.
Spring is sprung here.
The weather gets pretty nice around here this time of the year, so.
Yeah, so does the pollen count, by the way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Somebody said that they saw, like, when we got that big rainstorm last week, like they saw like tons of pollen gathering and just like going down the street.
Oh, you should see my car.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, my car is coated with it right now. Apparently last week, and hence probably the reason why I had a massive allergy attack last week, was the pollen count, like a super high count is 11. And we were at 10 last week. That's how bad it was.
Oh my gosh!
So
they need to come up with some bigger numbers.
I know,
that doesn't sound that bad.
They need to go to like they need to go to the color system, so it's like code orange or code red instead.
Exactly. They're like the highest pollen.
Like 10.
Yeah. Exactly. The highest pollen count ever was 11. It was at 10. You're like, you should throw a couple zeros on that just to make it sound interesting.
Right, but this one goes to 11.
Oh my God! The pollen count was 10,000.
Yeah, I should
that
have
sounds
said
way worse.
That sounds way better.
Yeah, that sounds way better.
Go ahead and get crazy. They should say 10 million is pollen.
I know, right?
Freaking pollen! I'm so glad that stuff doesn't affect me.
I don't know. Me too, Jack.
Yeah. You all can talk. As I got my second round of shots yesterday.
Oh man! Did you have to get all 5 again?
Oh, it's every time 5.
Oh my Lord!
Every time.
Oh my! That's terrible, man.
Yeah. Laugh it up, guys. Laugh it up. I get 3 in the right arm and 2 in the left because they gotta spread the wealth.
Yeah, they gotta even you out so you don't walk out there lopsided.
Or have
they gotta blow out all of your veins.
I walk out and I'm gonna have like Popeye arms. I'm gonna come out going, oh, I need some spinach. Oh.
That was good.
That was good.
Oh man, next Popeye game, Tim is the voice actor.
I will be the voice.
Yes, please.
I will be the voice.
All right, Router.
All right, new releases this week. We got there's just 2 kind of cross console to mention. What are you laughing at?
Yeah, what are you laughing at?
The shots, that's just really funny to me.
I'm glad that you could laugh at my pain, Gabe. As you sit on the beach. You know what? I hope a seagull pecks your head today. Or takes a dump on you, either one.
Yeah, you'll take either.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's funny. It is funny. When I looked at it, I'm like... It was one of those things when I looked at the tray and there's 5 needles there, I'm like, seriously?
Oh my gosh.
Every week.
Every week.
Level.
I'm telling you. We'll see. Anyway. Okay. New releases this week. We've got Arcania, The Complete Tale for Xbox and PS3. And then, of course, the big one would be Injustice Gods Among Us, cross-console for PS3, Wii U, and Xbox 360. And I know our boy Casey's probably all over that. So, Casey, if you're listening, let us know how it is. And I'm sure you're geeking on it because he's been talking about that game for a while. A couple DLCs this week, too. Black Ops 2. They are doing an Uprising map pack and another zombie pack as well called Mob of the Dead. It adds 4 new multiplayer maps and the new zombie mode. And that is available on Xbox Live and retails for 1,200 Microsoft points. And as always, if you bought the Season Pass, you can download for free within the game. The other one is Dishonored, which is Dishonored Knife of Dunwall DLC, which comes out this week. And
yeah, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, you play the role of Dodd, which was the master assassin who murdered the Empress. No spoilers there. But the expansion follows his path to redemption. It's available for PC, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3.
That's pretty cool.
For $9.99 or 800 Microsoft points. So those are the new releases. And then as far as the top-selling games for the week ending April 6th. Now remember, these charts are usually a week behind, and they're also I always just check on the US charts. But check this out: Luigi's Mansion for 3DS. Was the number one freaking selling game.
Oh my gosh!
Last week, and that's the second week. So big ups to 3DS for still putting out quality games that actually stay selling and stay within a top 10 chart, which is pretty amazing.
Because it was number 2 last week.
It was number 2. It did 451 last week. It did 130,000 this week.
That
my
game,
gosh.
that game must have a huge attachment rate with 3DS owners.
Oh yeah, it must.
Like that's insane for like
So-
that hype of a percentage of people to buy a game.
Yeah, I thought that was
What the heck?
really, really interesting that, 3DS and putting it down again. So big ups to Nintendo for that. Number 2 was Defiance, which is the sci-fi show as well as the video game. That came
It's
in.
an MMO.
Yep, and that came in at number 2. BioShock held for the Xbox 360 at number 3. Gears of War held at number 4 for the Xbox 360. And then the rest are either PS3 or PC. So, yeah, big ups to Luigi's Mansion for going from number 2 up to number 1. That's pretty
Yeah, it's
impressive.
rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is nuts.
Good job.
Yeah, good
Holy
good stuff.
crap. I wanted to hit on this. Did you guys see about the Naughty Dog contest that they're doing for The Last of Us?
No, but are we in?
I'm interested.
Gabe, did you enter us already?
Yeah, right. I wish. So Naughty Dog's having a contest for 24 fans to put their names in the game, which I thought was really cool. So what it's kind of looking like is there's an art contest, a cosplay contest, and a video contest. And they're accepting applications up till April 24th. And I guess there's a group of characters in the game that are called Fireflies. And so I don't really know who that is, but I guess they wear pendants, and these pendants will have stamped on them these 24 contest winners' names.
Very cool.
And I was like, oh, snap. I was like, that's a cool way to kind of break the fourth wall a little bit and get people more involved. I don't really know why they're doing it, but I think it's cool that they are doing it.
It's a value-added piece. That's really awesome.
Yeah. So it gets people the traffic to the website and tell other people about it and people to get hyped. Because you never know, man. You peruse on YouTube for a while and you find some pretty talented kids out there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
I think that's what you're more trying to dig up, and you never know, you can get a job out of something like this.
Heck
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? There's been plenty of people. There's a girl named Jamie Grace that's on the road with us all the time, and she opens up for us with Toby, and Toby signed her from seeing her on YouTube.
Oh, and she has a great voice, too.
Yeah, and she's awesome.
Yeah,
So
she's totally awesome.
I thought that was really cool, and I hope that turns out great for those people.
Dang it, you know what? Speaking of Last of Us, I don't think I put those developer videos up yet on the website, so I will definitely do that because I think there's a part 1 and a part 2, and I don't know
the
if they
diary
released-
videos.
Yeah, so I want to get those up because everyone needs to. If you're excited about The Last of Us, you need to see it. It's really cool. It gets you kind of a behind the scenes of the Naughty Dog process and how they're going about doing this, and it's awesome. So I will get that up. Sorry, Gabe. Continue.
Oh no, you're fine. Hall, did you have anything you wanted to hit before we got to this interview?
No, let's do the interview first.
You sure?
Why? Do you not have anything else?
No, I'm just kidding. I have plenty.
Yeah, okay, cool. You probably got what I got anyway. Go ahead and roll this interview.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Stevens. So I'm sitting here with Chris Stevens.
How you doing, Gabe?
Doing good, buddy. Thank you so much for taking time to do this today.
Oh, the pleasure's mine. Pleasure's mine.
So we've talked about it a little bit on the show already, but Chris Stevens is a maestro. He's the bomb. Me and Chris go way back, actually. Not so far back, but Chris has produced records for Toby for the last, how many albums? 3 or 4 albums?
4 or 5. How many albums has he done?
I think he's done 5.
Okay, 4 then.
So for 4 out of 5, that's a lot. And so you've done stuff from Toby Mac. You've been involved in some pretty big ones too, though.
I have.
Right? I mean, you've been involved. Like, and Toby Mac is big in our world. Gold is nothing to sneeze at. He sells 500,000 units every single time he puts out a CD.
Yep.
But you've done some Carrie Underwood stuff. What else have you done?
I've done a little bit of work with Blake Shelton, Carrie Underwood.
We all know from The Voice.
Pardon? Yeah, exactly. From The Voice. And I mean, most of my work has been in the Christian market to date. Doing more work like writing and some production work in the country market. But Toby's obviously, you know, a very high profile artist, and you know, probably my biggest, you know, client.
Yeah, and he kind of brought you to town, for lack of a better.
He did,
term.
yes. Yeah.
You're out of Oregon.
I'm from Oregon, from Eugene, Oregon. I've been in Nashville now for about 8 years, believe it or not. Hard to believe. But yeah, Toby was a big reason why I moved out here.
And you've been working those whole 8 years, which is incredible.
I have been working, yes.
A lot of people don't do that.
I've not had any real downtime, which is great. I mean, I'm
I
very
know,
thankful.
that's why I feel so honored right now.
Well, I'm blessed.
Yeah. So people might be wondering, like, so okay, he's done all this music. Why are we talking to him? But you kind of have a past in video game music, and I know you don't do as much as you used to, but you still have a past in it, and like got checks for doing music for video games.
That's correct. Actually, it's really what got me into the music business and production, record production, was through video game music. If you go way back, you know, to when I was really, you know, growing up and a young man, I definitely was passionate about music. I loved music. I made jingles for, you know, TV commercials and things like that. Anything I could do to try to make some kind of income, you know, in the music business. But once I got married, I just said, well, that's it. I'm done. You know, I just didn't want to really pursue music anymore, because being out in Oregon, there really wasn't a way to really make a steady living, you know, that I could see in the music business. So I kind of hung it up and went to school. And about a year and a half into my schooling, a friend of mine who was doing some scoring for video games for a small upstart company in my hometown of Eugene, referred me for a temporary job opening that they had to do just some sound effects programming and things like that. And this was in 1990. So there really was not... computers, as we know it, were really kind of in their infancy still.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And the whole concept of using computers to make music was fairly early on as well. So I had very little experience with computers. I had experience with synthesizers and drum machines and things like that, and electronic music instruments, but not so much computers as they relate to music. So I did get this temporary position at this company called Dynamics, spelled with an X at the end.
Yeah.
And they were owned at the time. They were a subsidiary of a company called Sierra Online.
Oh, I know Sierra Online for sure.
Yeah. And so they were a small company. They had about 35 employees.
Yeah.
And they hired me on that summer of 1990. And by the end of the summer, they offered me a full-time job with benefits, and I quit school. And
really?
I was, I was newly married. I think my in-laws were a little freaked out, but
yeah, I bet they're like,
and my parents and my wife. But I thought, wow, I love doing this. I learned a lot that summer about how to integrate code from sound effects and things like that into the games, and how to convert files and things like that to give to the programmer so they could put them into the games. And it was a real educational time for me. And so I did that for about 5 years. and it started doing scoring for some of their games. A short list of the games that I did during that era, which we're talking early 90s, so I don't know that anybody would know these. These were mostly PC titles.
Yeah, they were.
I did this silly game called Adventures of Willie Beamish, Rise of the Dragon.
Yep.
Space Quest 5.
You did Space Quest?
Yeah, a couple of them, yeah.
I think I played that game.
A game called Tribes.
Yep. I know Tribes for
Heart
sure.
of China. Some of these were like at what they called FRPs, role-playing type games.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible Machine, which is kind of a puzzle game. Red Baron, 3D mini golf. That was some of that earlier era, early 90s era.
Wow. So would you just sit around and score just all day? Was that like your full-time thing?
Yeah, and we also did a lot of sound effects. We had, we would just, they would give us a specific list of the sounds that they were looking for a particular game. In fact, oftentimes we would get like this long list, like with 150 sounds on it. And it would be very specific about what it was for, a certain type of machine gun, or maybe it was, just an ambient sound, birds chirping or whatever, just any sort of, you name it. Some of the sounds were looping sounds. Some of the sounds were what we called one-shot sounds, which they just happen, as soon as you if you ever hit a button or you hit a certain, item in the game, it would make a sound one time,
Right.
So that was really kind of what got me back into the music business in a really weird way.
That is crazy. Did you enjoy it?
I really did. I'll be honest. I wasn't really a gamer per se. I was much more of a musician type person. So I didn't really. Games were not really on my radar, and I didn't really take a lot of. I didn't spend a lot of my leisure time playing games.
Sure. So you didn't necessarily play the games that you were creating all this music
Not really. For. Once in a while I would, but and in a way that may have been what kind of eventually made me sort of want to move on to where I felt like my real passion was, which was producing records. But it was a great gig, and I really, I met a lot of cool people. I actually approached my employer about 5 years into doing this, which would have been like the mid 90s, and said, "Hey, I want to start my own business." And I took a guy with me that was on the staff there. We had by that time the company had grown from 35 people when I started to 150.
Oh wow!
In about 3 or 4 years, and they expanded. I had a really nice third floor corner office with windows overlooking the river, and I mean it was just crazy. Yeah, like a whole other life. But but I really wanted to pursue this as more of a freelance kind of a business. So they were real gracious about that, and they said, "Yeah, we'll help you out," because it was a benefit to them, because we weren't always making music for games. There was some downtime between, but since we were on salary, they paid us anyway. And now there was some research that we would do, or and preparing for the next project or whatever. But I think for them, they saw it as an opportunity to just pay us a flat fee per game for our services, and
be a little cheaper.
Yeah. So, and then that freed us up to pursue other companies, and we kind of had a written agreement that would allow us to do that. And that's when we started branching out and working for Vivendi Universal, which ended up buying out Sierra Online, and Sega at the time was still around, and Sony, and Electronic Arts, and we worked for a lot of companies, mostly on the West Coast, software companies. So
did you? So when you came out of the salary gig, was it kind of like your name just got around, and you found yourself here and there making more and more music for just other games and other companies?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that interestingly enough, shortly after I left Dynamics, the game industry started kind of tanking a little bit because online games were just starting to appear in the late 90s. And a lot of them were free. And it was competing. And so they ended up that company eventually ended up going under that division, the Eugene division. A lot of those people during that 5-year period, right after I left the company, took jobs at other companies. And so I started getting calls from some of these people that I knew that had worked with me prior. And so it really was just the perfect storm to get into some of those other companies and do some freelance work for them. So that's it kind of happened naturally.
I know you don't have a complete list because I mean, if you were to just guess off the top of your head, how many games have you been involved with when it comes to music?
About 50. Yeah. Yeah, I actually did have a list at one time.
That's a whole lot.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that I'm missing too. A lot of sports titles, which I know is you don't really think of music and sound. Well, you do think of sound effects, but not so much music. But there's menu music and there's things like that. But yeah, I did quite a few PlayStation stuff too. Siphon Filter 3.
It's a big game.
Yeah, and God, there's a few I know that I'm spacing that are sort of in that. Well, obviously the MLB series.
Have you been? How long have you been part of the MLB series? Because I know that's something that you said you still do sometimes.
I do. Yep. In fact, I just scored a new menu theme for MLB 2013. And we cut a live orchestra here in Nashville.
That's incredible.
About 3 months ago. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So have you been part of that every year? Like, have they just kept calling you? Someone just kept calling you every year to do MLB?
Yep. Yeah. So I've been involved on that project for probably the last 5 years.
Wow.
In a row. And I'd say that's probably about as far back as I've gone with them, maybe 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, and that's like all you have time for now.
Pretty much, yeah. I usually I can fit in about one thing a year, and it's literally just one long piece of music, and it's like a minute and a half scored piece of music that they kind of chop up and use for the different
sections of the game.
Yeah.
So when it comes to since you've been steeped in both heavily, what's the biggest difference? If you can think of something off the top of your head, what's the biggest difference between artist and, game company? Because I know behind an artist, there's always a company as well. And, there's a bunch of people that you kind of got to get through before they find something that they like. Do you feel like that pressure is the same when it comes to a company that's doing a game, especially like something like Siphon Filter, where those games were pretty, those games are big. It's not like this small game that nobody's ever heard of, especially by the third one.
Yeah, I mean, there's some definitely some parallels, some similarities. I think in general, though, when you're working with artists, in the music business, you're dealing with some other things there, challenging and in some ways more befitting for what kind of makes me tick. Mm-hmm. I think artists are a little more, obviously they're more temperamental. They have a little more of an ego. There's some things there that you have to kind of work with and know. Right. There's a little more psychology involved in working with an artist. They don't always know what they want, and yet they do. So it's like they know what they want, but they don't necessarily know how to describe it. Some of those similarities do exist in the game industry because I think, in my experience, and I'm sure it's different these days than it was during my real heyday in the game industry, but in my experience, you're dealing with I guess one of the things that was on the difficult side of things for me in the game industry was dealing with programmers. The programmers are kind of the rock stars of the game industry. They were anyway. They were the guys that really, like, I mean, they got royalties on the game sales. I know these days there's some music guys that are able to get royalties. I've never had any success getting royalties as a musician in a game. It didn't work out for They're just like, no, we're doing a buyout. That's how we do it. And so you'd get a bunch of money instead.
Write one check and they're done with you.
Yeah. And I know there's guys in the game industry that have pushed hard for getting royalties, and they're getting royalties, and I applaud them. Awesome. I think they should get royalties.
Yeah.
But that was something that we never really were able to achieve. Maybe if I'd stuck around a little longer. But
if you need me to call somebody, I'll do it.
Exactly.
I love you that much, Chris Stevens. I'll call somebody.
Yeah. But in general, I've found that that in the game industry, I feel like I don't want to say this. I don't want to offend anybody, but I felt like they were easier to please.
Sure.
I mean, they just liked a good rockin' track.
Yeah.
Or a good, like, ambient track that kind of fit the mood or whatever. And,
right.
And of course, now a lot of the interactive games have music that follows the interaction and morphs. There's code there that allows the music to subtle changes to occur in the music based on the gameplay.
Right.
Which is something that emerged at about halfway through my career as a game composer. I don't know if that's still if that's as popular as it was, but it was a real cool concept.
Yeah, no, that's definitely happens all the time where, something will crescendo when you run or, when you sneaking around and, definitely.
Yeah, and I was involved at the very infancy of that technology, and it was fun to see it grow and to be a part of it. I know when I did Siphon Filter, there was interactive code in that, and we had tracks that could be muted and unmuted based on the intensity in the game, and so certain elements would appear in the score depending on the intensity.
Wow.
But I don't know if I'm wandering off of your original question or not. But
no. You definitely answered it, because I would imagine too with an artist you kind of have the back and forth of what they want.
Yeah.
And what they want to say and this, that, and the other. And with games, I'd imagine you might not be working with such musical people, who you're turning stuff into. They're not the guys that are like, they probably have an opinion, might want it this, a little slower, the tempo a little faster, you know what I'm saying? But it's not so much like, well, I want to say this and I feel like this will help me say that better.
Exactly. You're not talking as much about the tone of a guitar, or you are a little bit.
Right.
Some of these software companies have a dedicated music department, and they have a music director, and they're musicians.
Yeah.
And so they will mention something about the guitar tone or whatever, but in general, it doesn't get into that depth of detail. They kind of trust you that you know what you're doing, and they're hiring you for that job to make sure you're to give them what they feel is a modern sounding track or whatever, as far as the tones and that sort of thing. So,
right.
And you're not generally dealing with lyrics. There's not a lot of vocal stuff. There might be a track that has vocals in it, but for the most part, that's kind of absent in the game stuff that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And
makes sense.
So that's a whole other level of it's just not really, you don't have to really deal with in the game stuff. So.
2 more questions before I get you out of here.
Yeah.
Inspiration. When somebody's making a game, do you necessarily, because I would imagine there's maybe a portion of the game done, but it's not like you get to sit there and maybe watch this whole game unfold and then write to that, or how does that creative process happen? Like what do you draw from when they're wanting something, especially when it's something ambient or moving? Like how do you know what do you do?
Well, there's really kind of 2 different kinds of scoring. There's scoring to cinematics and movie type segments within the game, embedded within the game. That's pretty easy. If you have scoring chops, if you know how to score and kind of know what a scene needs when it comes to film, and which I've always been a fan of film scores and things like that. So I think that you kind of you watch some films, you get a feel for what this game is kind of trying to the feel that this game is going after, as far as what kind of movie might you compare this game to,
right?
And what's that score like in that movie? You can draw from that, similar to the way you would if you're working with an artist and you're like, well, this artist kind of sounds like this and this. Let's just listen to a little bit of that. We're not going to steal from it. Well, let's just use that as an inspiration. This artist really is into this kind of music. Let's listen to some of that, and just to get a feel for it. We're not gonna just spend that much time on it. But
right.
Just to get you. Most music is inspired by other music, so there is some research that's done, and even the game's producers will say, hey, can you just check out this movie or this artist? This is kind of what we're going for.
I got you. So they do give you direction at least. They're not like, hey, we want something
Absolutely.
to thumping and four on the floor. Appreciate you.
That does happen. That does happen. And then you just got to go with your gut, and you got to say, well, this is what I think it needs.
Right.
And if they're hiring a professional, then you shouldn't be too far off the mark.
Have you ever missed it?
Something. Never.
That's right, Christine. Never miss it.
That's coming from my mouth. I don't know what the other guy's saying. No, I'm sure I probably have missed it a little bit, but you can usually reel it in pretty quickly if you need to.
That's so funny. Okay, so you've been there, you've done it, you've moved on.
Yeah.
So for those kids out there or those guys out there listening right now that have been messing with music, obviously EDM is huge right now, who's messing with dubstep at the house and stuff like that, because a lot of games are calling for that nowadays, as well as still the very ambient tracks and things like that obviously always have to be there. That'll never go out of style in games. What would you say to the kid that A, loves making music, and B, wants to be involved in video games? What kind of direction would you point him in if he were to come and ask you, man, how do I do this? I love making music. I love video games. How do I mesh these worlds?
Well, I don't know if, again, things have probably changed a bit in the game industry since I was really involved in it, but I think some of the basics are still there. You got to have a killer demo reel. If you're really serious about this, you need to start with, I had to do this. You can put together your best material.
Right.
A link to that, on SoundCloud or whatever, some online easy link, easy access for somebody to, access your music, and just give them a little snippet of several different styles.
Right.
And if you're having trouble coming up with that, well, that's where you just got to use your ears, and you got to listen to what's going on out there. Like you said, a lot of the EDM stuff that's popular, and borrow from that, but make it your own at the same time. Really use your ears, and if you've got good ears, trust them.
There you go. I love that. Trust them.
And it starts right there. It starts with you got to have great, gripping, compelling music that feels like it would fit in a game. And that's just, you got to start there at least. And then you got to network. You got to, there's a lot of conferences that we used to go to. Computer Game Developers Conference. I don't know if that's still going on in San Jose. E3, and there's quite a few conferences that happen generally in the springtime, and California has, like I think there's E3 is usually out there somewhere in the LA area or something.
LA, yeah.
So, those are just, that's there's probably a couple of game developer type groups that you can belong to, societies, if you will, or whatever,
Sure.
Become a member of some of those.
So you're saying, unfortunately, if you want to do it, you almost got to be that guy with the demo. But it doesn't have to be like a CD demo anymore. It could just be as easy as giving somebody a card. Hey, this is what I do. Check it out. Yep. Here's a link, and hoping that you kind of strike something with somebody.
Yeah, and I do think you need to figure out how to get in the faces of some of these people,
right.
And that may involve maybe doing some work, some spec work, if you will, where you're just kind of doing it for, hey, try me out.
Exactly.
Try me out on this. What do you have to lose? Try me out.
Yeah. Doing it for free at first.
Yeah. And if they end up using it, they're going to pay you. I mean, unless they're scoundrels. But
yeah, exactly.
But at least it gives them an opportunity without any risk to try out something new,
There you go. Chris Stevens, thank you so much, man. I really, really, really appreciate you taking the time. I know you are a busy man and you got big records to make. And you took this time to talk to Married to the Games, and we really appreciate it.
Well, Gabe, it's my pleasure, man.
So we appreciate Chris Stevens talking to us for a second. He's awesome.
Thanks, Chris.
He's a good guy, man. He's a really good guy. And he's just a funny guy. You ever know those people where you're like, you're a funny guy. Just who he is funny. Like, he doesn't necessarily have to be funny for you to be laughing at him. And I really enjoy that about him.
And he seems super laid back, too. He's just like, yeah, it's cool, whatever.
Exactly. I've been doing this forever.
I've been doing this
what I'm good at.
Yep. That's awesome.
And he's like one of those guys, too. Like, have you ever ran into somebody that you were like, holy crap, you were made to do that?
That's awesome.
Like, he's made to do music.
He has found his calling.
Yeah. And so he's out there killing it.
No, that's awesome.
Before we get to some Twitter questions, Hall or Router, did either of you guys see this grandma wearing the Oculus Rift?
Oh,
no, but that sounds hysterical.
I saw it. I saw it on YouTube, but I didn't actually click and watch it because I figured, it's good.
Oh.
Okay, so we have to watch it. Okay.
Yeah, we got to put it. So we'll put it up on our website.
Okay.
It's this 90-year-old grandmother whose grandson puts the Oculus Rift on her and has her walking around and stuff, and it is so funny. But it really, like, you're watching her, obviously you're watching her look through this thing, and she's tripping. She's like, oh, there's water. Oh, don't get me too close to the edge. I mean, she's like, oh, it looks so real. So there's all this stuff. And it really, like, it made me think of, like, the application of Oculus Rift outside of gaming. Like, say for people that are, wheelchair bound or, like, very old or something like that. I was like, I wonder what the possibilities could be outside of gaming for something like this. So,
oh, man.
I'm not smart and somebody else will do that, but
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a next gen thing, I think, that's going to happen. And, I'm glad it's starting now. I think there's just needs to be a lot of refinement. And as technology continues to get better and cheaper, it will probably become more universal. But that's really exciting. All right, I got to see this video, so we'll definitely post it up.
Hey, it was the natural evolution of virtual reality, man. If you've seen any movie in the 80s,
Lawnmower
that's
Man.
where it was going to go.
Exactly.
Just got to pay attention, man.
Man, they get all their ideas from movies, man. Movies further technology.
Movies are the inventor.
Yep.
Good. I like that. Well, I'm waiting for my lightsaber, so if anybody wants to make one of those, I'll get it.
Exactly.
Hall, hit it up.
Project Unity. Have you seen it?
No.
What's that? I think it's a hacker. He created a box that, 15 fully functional consoles in one giant box.
What?
Yeah. So
fully functional?
Yeah. It's a unified gaming console that uses no emulation. So it's constructed entirely out of authentic hardware. So I'm imagining that you have to have all these things to make it. But
does he have like a step-by-step thing?
No.
To put one together?
It looks like he just did it as a proof of concept, I think.
Wow. But with no emulation, so it's all original. Is it original hardware?
Yeah, it's all. I think it's all. It's either all original hardware or some of the stuff is off the shelf. Because some of the consoles, I think, like the Atari ones, are off the shelf parts.
Yeah.
Okay.
But basically, it's Sega Master System, Neo Geo, GameCube, Dreamcast, Sega Saturn and Television, ColecoVision, Atari 7800, TurboGrafx, PS1, PS2.
This thing has to be like the size of an armoire or something.
Yeah, is it the size of an old calculator that used to take up a whole room?
I haven't actually watched the video yet. I just read because the video I think is like 10 minutes long.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I watched the thing, or I read the article, but we need to get this video up on our thing.
Yeah, it should be called.
I watch it.
It should be called Project Never Leaving the House. Is what it should be called.
Exactly.
Project 300 pounds.
Yeah, Project Weight Gain.
Oh my gosh.
It's like the opposite of Jenny Craig.
Exactly.
People are gonna grow up and they're gonna be like, man, I remember when I had Project Unity. Man, that was everything.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Now I can't get off my couch.
There's gonna be girls commercials. They're like, yeah, and I tried Jenny Craig and I lost 25 pounds. And there's gonna be like a guy's commercial was like, I tried Stephen Murphy and I gained 375 pounds.
I think you were channeling a little Fat Albert.
Yeah, I think so, man.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what if you're that big, that's what you sound like. Exactly. Like you sound like you constantly have a turkey leg in your throat.
I always got one of those guys near me.
I always
come on, y'all. Let's get what these Project Unity games is.
That ain't too big.
Dude, I always thought
too big.
I always thought when I had an allergy attack, I sounded like the other guy who's like abby wubby wubby wubby, like because my nose is all stuffed up. So I'm like hobby boy, abby get my computer.
Yeah, let's play some bug abba dabba.
Yeah, that's me, man. When I have an allergy attack, think of me. That's it. That's me.
That's funny.
I'll be miserable.
So, speaking of NES game, did you say NES on that?
Let me go check. Oh crap!
Maybe I was just thinking old school games. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's mainly old school games. I don't think there was any. There's like not like PS3 or Xbox 360.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, NES is on there. I didn't actually say it, but NES, Super NES, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo 64.
Wow.
And this thing is nuts.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It's got to be massive.
Yeah, but, like I said, I think it's mainly just a proof of concept. So it said, oh, hang on, the article says jump to 930. Let's see if I get scared here. Jump to 930 to see the console. Let's see it.
Do it to it.
Oh, come on. Come on.
I know. As you wait. So there's a guy named Tom Murphy. He's a computer scientist. And he built an AI that will play some NES games. Like, will play, like, and it's crazy to watch because it's obviously.
Oh, dear God.
It's.
Sorry about that. It's huge.
And there it was.
And there it is.
It was like the fly coming out of the contraption that Jeff Goldblum was trying to make. The lady's like, I don't think this is what you meant to happen. What does it look like?
This thing is freaking. It basically looks like. So basically, if consoles today were computers, you know how when they show like old computers, they show like a room with a giant box in the background?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about the calculator.
Yeah, that's kind of the same comparison.
Does it have wood grain siding?
No, it's just like a big, like filing cabinet sized thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Yeah. It's
dial that on down.
It's pretty crazy looking.
Yeah, if you have to have a huge house like router, then it doesn't do you any good.
Well, I mean, it still fit, but it's beige. Why is it beige?
Just throw a sheet over it.
But then you can't put the games in.
Well, that's true. And if there's any fans, you got to give it some ventilation, but like make some sort of decorative sheet or something over it, and you'll be fine. Put a lamp on top of it.
I think I'll be fine just not buying one.
There you go.
Yeah, just don't get one. Okay, so Tom Murphy built this thing. Y'all should see the video. It's a bunch of stuff at the top of stuff we wouldn't understand. Maybe Hall would understand it. I definitely didn't get it. But anyway, how he talks about the AI interacting with what's going on in the video game. And it's really cool because he kind of walks you through the process of when he first started this up, Mario would just jump in place. Just jump, and like would look left and right. And then by the end of the video, he's got him like beating levels and stomping on, Goombas and stuff like this and doing all kind of crazy stuff. And so it was really cool.
I love technology, man. It's so much fun.
I know. Big up to Tom Murphy. Y'all want to get into these questions? Or did you have something else, Hall?
No, man, let's get into it.
Alrighty, I've got 3 questions, and we can just kind of, blitzkrieg it if you want to. Let's see. Stu at the Denogonizer said, "Is there a game series that you haven't yet played and are ashamed to admit?"
Oh, that's a great question.
Awesome question.
That is pretty good.
Router, since you've seen these questions, you answer first.
Well, I've been thinking, and I don't know.
You're like, if I haven't played, it's because I haven't heard of it.
Have you played the BioShock series yet?
No, but I wouldn't be ashamed to admit that, because I'd be like, yeah, I'm playing BioShock. I'd be proud of that. I was almost going to say Assassin's Creed 3, but because I am ashamed of that game. But
you're like just ashamed to have played it.
Right.
Wait, is he saying that you're ashamed that
no,
you're ashamed that you haven't played it?
You haven't played it yet, but you're ashamed to admit that you want to play it.
What? I thought he was saying like you're ashamed to admit that you didn't play it yet.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
Yeah, maybe. Is there a game series that you haven't yet played and are ashamed to admit? Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, that's why I said BioShock.
Yeah, you're right. That I took it at
top tier.
I added a few more words to that one, so I apologize. Sorry about that, Stu. Yes, BioShock would probably be mine because I haven't played it yet, and I do want to, and everyone's talking about it, so that would probably be mine.
BioShock was my answer like a month and a half ago. So
what's it now?
Injustice.
I don't know. Go, Gabe, go.
I think mine would be Metal Gear. I played the first one back in the day, and then I just didn't play any more of them. And I feel like they're great games, and they keep being made. And I think that the people that are on that ride love it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, why have I not played Metal Gear? Like, I'm a gamer. Like, I should have played these games. And I haven't, and I'm ashamed of it.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm actually, even though I played a little bit of the first one like a month ago, I'm going to have to say probably the Batman games.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty I played, like I said, a little bit of Arkham Asylum, and I liked it. So, I mean, it's a good game, and everybody's been talking about them. So, and I own both of them. I just don't have any time.
Nice.
Exactly.
Well, as long as you own them and you've given money to the developers, then that's good. We'll give you props for that.
That'll work. Even though it was Black Friday, that'll work.
There you go. Okay, so then here's a follow-up, and this is maybe why my train of thought got confused, because Jamie Williams at FunSize27 says, "Is there a game that you absolutely love, even though it got bad reviews from critics?" Yeah.
What up, Jamie?
Assassin's Creed 3, definitely. Done. Thank you, Jamie. That's awesome. But yeah, that's where I got my lines crossed, because I was looking at that one and also looking at Stu's. So continue, fellas. What do you got? Game you absolutely love, even though it got bad reviews.
Well, I mean, if you guys remember the episode 6, I think it was, when me and Paul did the coin op co-op, I was talking about loving, what was it, Dragon's Lair 2.
Oh, that's right.
And I really love that game, and Bradley tore me apart for liking that game. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That game is great.
I forgot about that.
And that's got to be one of the ones. And I think there was a game called like Blue Stinger or something like that back on the Dreamcast that was just awful, but for some reason me and my buddy really enjoyed playing it.
That's awesome.
I don't remember exactly what it was called. So Dragon's Lair 2 for people that would more know games.
That's awesome. Paul, what about you?
For me, it would probably be like an older game, like shoot, I'm trying to think of something. Probably on the Sega Genesis. Because I remember I went back and played that Sonic's Arcade Collection, and all of the games on there aren't necessarily good games. Like they're just memorable games from the system. And I think at least I'm trying to remember here. Like some of the Streets are like I think Streets of Rage 3 gets some flack, but that's a good game to me. I think Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. I don't know if that did very well.
I've never even heard of that.
Certainly doesn't sound like it from the title.
Yeah, that game is awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah, man, just like when I was a kid, like that's the thing is when I was a kid, you could just put anything in and I would play it. So I would play
exactly, me too.
Power Rangers, even though that was a terrible game. Just stuff like that. Like, I just play games, so I didn't really care if it was bad.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, I think of games that I played when I was a kid, and then I see them on YouTube getting this horrible treatment. Like, people be like, "This is the worst game of all time," blah 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 blah. And I was like, I liked that game when I was a kid.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hey, they can't take that from you, man. They can't take your childhood from you.
Oh, heck no. If you play them now, they're terrible.
Yeah,
but
I played the heck out of Moonwalker. I don't know what the critics thought about that, but I loved that game.
That might be revered as a good game though, because it is a good game. So
I thought it was a good game, but looking back, I'm like, that is stupid.
This is horrible. What was I thinking?
I'm like, seriously, we had a dance off, and that's what killed everybody.
That was the awesome part.
That is awesome. We had a dance off.
Yeah, Tim, you haven't seen that game?
No.
Oh, that game's incredible.
It's so good. Dude, you should just go to YouTube and see if you can
Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
Yeah, see if you can find somebody just playing through the game. So don't even play it, just watch somebody play through it.
All right, Moonwalker gameplay. Here we come.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, he kicks dust. He literally kicks pixie dust that hurts people.
Yeah,
That's
and then
awesome.
he has this move that you hold the button and he just starts spinning. And after he's spun enough, he starts like doing a dance, and then all the guys just fall down. He's like, "Oh!" and they all fall down. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Only Michael Jackson could get away with that.
Yeah,
that is terrifying and awesome all at the same time.
Oh my gosh! And remember, like at the beginning of each level, where it just shows his face, and he's like, "Oh!"
Yeah,
Tim, you
Except
need
he'd be
to
like
watch.
looking off to the left someplace.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. He's not even
exactly.
looking at the screen.
I think it'd be even creepier if he was looking at the screen.
I don't. He's like, "Ow!" He'd be like, "Oh snap!"
Tim, you need to watch just a playthrough of this. Just do it.
I will watch it.
Okay.
I will watch it. All
What's
right,
the last question?
Final question from our boy Casey, as always, O'Neill52299.
Yes, sir.
Xbox will probably be announcing their next console probably next month. What, if anything, will they say, or could they say, that would get you to buy one over a PS4? Is there anything that they might feature that would trump the PS4?
I don't really know if there's anything else
$50.
that they could. What's that?
That it was $50.
Yeah, $5 done.
I don't really know like what else they would have that would be different. Like the only thing that I'm worried about is that they had a guy on Twitter, some guy that worked for him, that said like, I don't understand why people are mad at the concept of an always-on console. Like, if you don't have the internet, then just deal with it.
Yeah,
that's a mistake.
Yeah,
man.
that was
a mistake.
Yeah, well, the guy resigned. Either he was probably forced to resign, but
I'm sure.
He said that. Well, he said that, and that got me thinking. Well, is the next one an always-on thing?
That's the rumor.
I don't want it to be.
Well, because that could be the reason that they pushed back their thing. Maybe they were going to do that because they thought Sony was going to do that, and then Sony came out and didn't do that. So they were like, "Well, shoot, we got to unengineer this thing and make it not like that."
And let it play used games.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's
I think
gonna
the
be
PS4,
weird.
the PS4, unless they have to have some, take the console out of it, take the hardware out of it, because they're gonna be comparable. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
You're right.
One's not gonna blow one out of the water, but they're gonna have to have some exclusives that I have to want to play.
Yes.
I mean, just with like Watch Dogs, Beyond Two Souls, if of course Uncharted will probably come out again, and there's some freaking exclusives that Sony's got that look like killer games.
Yes.
And Microsoft's gonna have to come with something crazy on that side of things.
I mean, I'm not
Moonwalker 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
That would be freaking sweet.
Here's the thing. So I think it's going to be interesting because if you're an Xbox user, you've got all of your friends, you have all of your your levels, all that stuff. It's really hard to go from one console to another. So it really depends on your gameplay and what you either started with or what you're comfortable with. If there are people that do cross over, that's pretty amazing. But I think it comes down to gamer preference. What I will say is that Sony has everybody's eyes and ears right now because they were smart enough to plan ahead, and their conference was almost 2 months ago. So everybody is still talking. Everything coming out right now about next-gen console is PS4, PS4, PS4. And it sounds like Microsoft is just sitting on their laurels trying to figure out, when are we going to announce this? When are we going to announce this? Because Sony's kind of taking over the eyes and ears of everybody, and they have all the market share right now.
Well, I think
whether or not that gets converted to sales is another story, because it takes a lot. Yeah, it takes a lot to move from one console to the other, because you lose everybody and you lose all your levels and that kind of stuff. But right now, Sony's owning it, so I think you're right. I don't think anything's really hardware-wise going to change. I think a lot of it's going to be comparable.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Unless kids do a switch. Like, I was talking to Toby's kid, his oldest Truett, and he was like, we were talking about next gen, and he was like, "What are you gonna do?" I was like, "I'll probably stick with PS4. They're the only ones that have said anything anyway." Blah 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 blah. I said, "What about you? You just gonna kind of move on with Xbox and do your thing there?" And he was like, "Nah, man, I'm getting a PS4." And I was like,
"Wow,
really?"
See?
And he already went out and bought his Vita and everything. I mean, like, he's ready to do it. So I was
That's awesome.
Oh. I was like, that's a big deal to switch, midstream like that.
Now, I think for newcomers, I think PS4 might actually take the new gamer market share here, because that's what everyone's talking about, and that's what everyone is saying. So I think if you're new to gaming and you're trying to pick a console right now, the PS4 is probably kind of ingrained in your skull, because that's all you hear about. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I want to watch the Microsoft the Xbox press conference and see what they have to say, and it's so weird that they're not kind of scrambling to try and get something together, because right now Sony's kicking their butt press wise with the PS4.
Yeah, well, we will see. We appreciate the questions as always.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Router, for remembering to put the call out.
Yeah, no problem.
And so y'all ready to get up out of here?
Yeah, because I got to go to work.
Yep, because I got to go to work. And, that's right, Gabe's got to go sun himself for a while.
Gabe's got to go put some lotion on that head.
That's right.
Yeah, I got to go get more brown so I can come back and people can hate me more at the South. I'm just kidding.
That's right.
It's not that bad.
That's awesome.
Well, you guys know where to find us, even when we're all over the place. We're still on Twitter, MTTGcast. We're still on Facebook, facebook.com/Married to the Games. Our website is always there, marriedtothegames.com. Y'all come check us out. Come holler at us. We really appreciate you guys talking back and forth with us. Y'all continue to pray for Boston, man. We're going to be here next week. And we're going to be here the week after that. And we're going to be here the week after that. So tell your friends, man. Be like, hey, I listen to this podcast. It's called Married to the Games. These guys are some regular dudes talk about gaming. If you want to talk about gaming, come check them out. Like us on Facebook. Rate us on iTunes. We appreciate y'all, man. We appreciate y'all listening. I'm Gabe Patillo. For Tim Router. For Timothy Hall. I'm at the beach and I'm about this thing. Peace.